Hey everyone, welcome to this week's module. Maybe I should just stop trying to number it. Um, I am back from my conference and I'm not sure what jet lag feels like, but if I had any, I'm pretty sure I'm over it. Um, or maybe in another day or so. So this week we're switching gears, so we have moved from fragments as far as lessons are concerned. Um, but you may be reintroduced to it a little later. I just kind of want everything you've covered so far to sort of settle in. The reason I'm going to sort of revisit fragments later as a little auxiliary video is because of one of our upcoming assignments that will use a component that you may not be familiar with. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of how it works. Um, So as I'm saying, we're more or less done with fragments as a topic, but we are now moving into fragments for our assignments. So this week's assignment um, is going to be it'll be asking you to build a basic web browser interface. You'll find the demo video, kind of telling you exactly what it should do, what it should cover. So just watch the demo video and read the specifications and let me know if you need any clarity on anything. One thing that assignment will ask you to do, and I'll just show you here, is that it asks you to use a view called an image button. Now, an image button is not something you will probably be familiar with, but it's exactly what the name says, truth in advertising. It's a button that shows an image, i.e. it shows a picture instead of text. Image buttons are extremely useful, if only because it's very easy to communicate to different groups what the function of a button is if there's an image depicting it, as long as it's an image that communicates broadly across cultures. Whereas with text, you have to know exactly what the text is saying. So image buttons allow you to replace text descriptions with images, and so you can go ahead and use that, and it functions like a combination of both an image view and the text, an image view and a button. So you can set the image resource, whether in the properties, the attributes at design time, or in code, and you can attach an on-click listener as you would a normal button, and it functions that way. So just keep that in mind. As far as getting images to use in the button, and just anywhere else, quite frankly, are concerned, I would recommend you take a look at this website. So the name is fonts.google, or the URL is fonts.google.com/icons. But as you can see, the website is called Google Fonts. It's unfortunate, I think, but ultimately, the purpose of the site is pretty good. And it is ultimately a repository of quite a few icons. I don't want to put a number to it. I don't know if it's hundreds, I don't know if it's thousands, but it's a lot. And you can find lots of different icons here that you can use for different things, not just Android applications, but iOS applications, websites, and a lot of different things. So in this scenario, if I wanted to find an icon that I could use for, say, a camera button, I could search for camera, and as you can see, I'm given a plethora, just an embarrassing number or an embarrassingly large number of icons that I can use, all of which in some way, according to Google, relate to cameras in some way. In your application, you're asked, this homework assignment, you're asked to find buttons to do things like go. I don't know what go might give me, but here you can see, well, that says log out. Nothing here really jumps out and says go, but maybe an arrow we might say, okay, an arrow is go, so this is go. This is go, or this is go, more like a play. But ultimately, it's whatever works for you, whatever you're using to communicate the idea of going forward to load a website. You'll see that in the application specifications. But all I'm saying is you just come here, you find an icon, and then once you've decided on the one you want, you just select it. And then here, I'm specifying that I want to use this for Android. And now I get some instructions of how I can import this SVG into Android Studio. This is the ultimately the code that I'll use, but I can and will need to download the XML file. So this is going to be not a raster image, not like a regular JPEG, but instead it's what's called a vector image. The beauty of a vector image is, unlike, say, with regular raster images like JPEG images, where you need to provide different sizes for different screen densities, when you're using a vector image, another vector image type is something called SVG. When you're using vector images, they can be stretched because they're basically just line pictures. All of these are just lines, so they can be stretched to any size without losing fidelity, without losing resolution. So here you only need to get one version of the image, and then you can just follow the instructions to import it into Android Studio. But I mean, just a spoiler, you can follow all of these steps, or you can just drag it from your file browser into the Drawables folder in Android Studio. That will also work. So don't overthink it. Yeah, I think for the most part, that's the only thing I'd like to cover. You will not have a quiz this week. I just reviewed the topics, and I want to make sure that we have everything fully under our belt. So you'll have your next quiz next week, which will include topics, including some things that you're going to cover this week, which I haven't even mentioned yet. And then your last quiz will be the final week of the semester. So that's the schedule as far as quizzes are concerned. Similarly, assignments will be stretched out for the rest of the semester. You have 4 remaining, and we have about 5 weeks. So you have 1 week for this assignment. Assignment 8, which again is built off assignment 7, you will have about a week and a few extra days. So maybe 10 days, something like that. I'll look at the math again. Same for assignment 9, you'll have a little extra time. And then assignment 10 will go back to about a week. So assignments 8 and 9 will have extra time for those assignments. As you can imagine, there's more stuff. There are more specifications that you'll need to complete. It's a little more involved. This week, the last thing I'm telling you, which should have really been the first thing, is our topics. So this week we're going to look at concurrency. If you want to think of concurrency as parallelism, the idea of multiple things executing at the same time, then you can go ahead and think of it that way, since ultimately that's kind of what concurrency attempts to accomplish. We're not dealing with multi-threaded applications in any deep sense here. We're not talking about threads at a low level, so we're not getting into the nitty-gritty. We just want to appreciate how concurrency works in Android. So we're going to be introduced to a component called a coroutine, which is it's not really fair to say it's a recent addition anymore. It was introduced with Kotlin, which is the programming language used for Android. And when Kotlin replaced threads, coroutines were sort of pushed forward as a replacement when Kotlin replaced Java, coroutines, which is a feature only available in Kotlin. That is when we compare Kotlin to Java, that is. It's only available in Kotlin. It was pushed as a replacement for threads, for low-level threads, and it is now the recommended concurrency library, or the approach that you should employ when you want to execute to do concurrent operations. So you'll see sort of the motivation for concurrency, why we need it, and then some of the technical details of how it all gets implemented. And then finally, once we have concurrency under our belt, we're going to transition into network operations. That is, having an application access the internet. You will be hard pressed to find any application today that does not access the internet in some way, even if it's doing nefarious things like just tracking you and trying to serve you ads, then it needs the internet access to do that. But by and large, any application worth its salt is web enabled in some way, whether it has accounts and you need to log in, or it has a client server architecture, so information is saved remotely and then pulled into your application, or games, anything else. So we want to sort of have a basic understanding of how that is implemented, some of the hard requirements that the framework requires, some of the constraints that we have to be mindful of, and then just one or two patterns, including library use, how we can use libraries, third-party libraries in our application to sort of streamline the process once we understand the low-level process. That is, we want to always make sure we understand what's happening before we start to use the libraries to do the work for us. That way we can always get down and get our hands dirty if needs be. Yeah, so that's it. So to recap, assignment number 7, the last 4 assignments build on each other. So assignment 7 serves as the base for assignment 8, which in turn serves as the base for assignment 9, which in turn serves as the base for assignment 10. You'll have some extra time for assignments 8 and 9, but assignment 7, still 1 week. Assignment 10, still about a week, I think. We do not have a quiz this week, but we will have one next week, and then your final quiz will be at the end of the final week of the semester, the final full week of the semester. I've covered the topics, and again, we're kind of, for the most part, we're done with fragments, teaching fragments, although I will revisit it in about a week or so. Just again, it's just a little auxiliary topic to help you understand a specific component that you're going to be asked to use. But the assignment does call for fragments right now, so feel free to go back and review those videos so you can appreciate how we do and perform certain operations. Once you do it enough times, it does almost become, there's almost some muscle memory involved, and it does become very straightforward, but you do have to get some practice. You do have to sort of go through the motions a few times first. So as always, start early. Send me your questions, any questions you have. If you need to meet, as again, you're all, I believe all of you are otherwise predisposed during the workday. So if you need to make time to meet with me outside of work hours, either before work, after work, as long as it's not, some ridiculous time, we can work something out to meet. So if you cannot meet during your regular work hours, and i.e. my regular office hours, that's okay. Just send an email and we'll try to arrange a time. All right, I think that about covers it, and good luck.